Hey guys, and welcome to episode 3 in my step-by-step build of Dragon's Stug 3. So far we have built the hull tub, the suspension, the muffler and exhaust system, as well as the fenders. And today we are going to be working on the superstructure and the fighting compartment of the vehicle. And as you can see here, I'm dry fitting the fenders because I'm still not sure how exactly they're going to fit to the vehicle. But without further ado, let us get started on the fighting compartment. I really like the very low silhouette on the early Stug 3s, and I really like the way that Dragon have reproduced this very low silhouette with this fighting compartment piece here. And you have two options as to what you want to do there with the back of the fighting compartment. Either you can place two MP5 machine guns back there, or you can put a radio there. And I went with the radio because I thought it adds a bit more intrigue to the model, since the radio has some knobs on it and you can paint this up fancy. And when you have a hatch open, you can then actually see the radio with all the nice detail on it. There are a couple of sprue gates on the superstructure here, the fighting compartment part, but overall the detail on this is rather nice, and it has two actually indentations underneath where the fenders actually then fit in a line, and I'm trying this out right now so you can see it lines up properly, and this then will help me get this aligned with the hull tub, which so far I've struggled with. So what we need now is the roof, and this kit wants us to do some major surgery on the rooftop here, but we'll get back to this as soon as I build the roof. This right now is the armor plate that goes in the front here. Perfect snug fit. Has some nice flame cut weld edges, very nice. The detail overall on this kit I can really not complain about. The only thing that I would complain about on this kit, and I'm sorry as my computer just updated something, the only thing that I would complain about is the instructions. The plastic is perfect, it's just the instructions that are messed up. Just some small bits and bobs here that go on here. This is the visor for the driver's hatch, the armored cover. And I always opt to build them open for a weird reason, because I just think it adds some nice intrigue there if you can look inside actually. I just have to figure out a way to replicate the glass block that is in there, because there's no glass block that comes with the kit. Normally you would get some clear plastic parts, but this just does not come with them. So now I'm deliberating whether or not I want to use the MP5 version or I want to use the radio version, and I ended up deciding to go with the radio version, because I always think that the Dragon radios offer, like I said, some very nice detail. As you can see here, the radios are actually a multi-piece assembly, and you need to be careful not to take off too much or too little, just to make sure that everything aligns perfectly. And you won't see me cut off too much at a later stage there when I'm working on one of the radios, especially the back, like one in the side. I take off something because I thought I had to take it off and it was too much, and then I had to do surgery to reattach it to the part. And this just goes in the back where you would normally put the machine guns. Just try to center it because there's no like location point for this proper. I just went with the middle because this is where it makes sense to me. On this part you have to remove the antenna mount, because the actual antenna mount on this tank was smaller than the one that's molded onto this piece of plastic here, because they took this piece of plastic, I think, from a later version of the Stug, and that had the bigger antenna mount, so I just had to cut off the antenna mount that was already molded on and attach a smaller one. And this part that I'm gluing in right now is actually the back of the radio that goes in there, and then when I cut out the front of that radio, it would take off too much. And then I realized when I look in the instructions that now I realized I made a boo-boo. Cut off too much. How can I fix this? Yes, I will glue this in place first, and then I will add the part that I accidentally cut off and just glue it onto the side here, trying to fix what I messed up. And again, the instructions were not entirely clear here, so that's one of the reasons I messed up, but it was just going too fast. Because I was doing this on a live hangout with a good friend of mine, Sebastian, over at Dutch Modeling, and Cone C was there as well, and there were a couple nice blokes, and we were hanging out, and I was working very fast and careless, and that's when this mishap happened. Again, this is some add-on armor plate here, actually, yeah, for the left side, some space armor. And when I tried to fit this piece on and then have the fender align underneath, I realized again that the instructions for the fenders were messed up, and you will see me have to, well, mingle with them again in just a second. Actually, this side was okay. I think it was the other side. Nope, this one already is messed up, and you can see somehow, some way, the shovel is interfering with the piece. So I took the shovel off, flipped it around, and all of a sudden it fit perfectly. So again, the shovel is wrong in the instructions. Just need to make sure that you flip it over, have it face the other direction. In my first video in this series, I actually said that these modeling sticks were from a company, Ultimate Production. It's actually Ultimate Modeling Productions and UMP, and it's a great company. I've bought a lot of their stuff in the past, and those sanders really go a long way. I've been using them for quite some time now. You could also check out their thinner and cleaner if you want. I know I'm not getting paid by them at all. If you know me, you'd know that I'm not. They just have some good product. This part didn't align properly, so I just sanded it on the top to make it align. So next up, we are going to tackle the roof of the fighting compartment, as my computer again tells me I'm going to upgrade something. Actually, this is a support strut that goes in the front of the tank, and, well, not the front of the tank, but the front of the fighting compartment, and just supports the gun mount in a way that it keeps the gun steady. I hope you liked the video so far, and if you do, please like the video, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. It would be really appreciated by me. There are a lot of small parts actually, and This is the armored hatch cover here for the visor of the gunner, who has kind of a side vision port to the side, which you normally wouldn't use and doesn't necessarily need. Well, actually it's not the gunner, it's the driver. Talking crap here. It's the driver's vision port to the side, which you still wouldn't use while driving the vehicle because he wants to look straight out of the vehicle. And now here we are. This is the roof of the fighting compartment. And this piece actually, it needs you to do some surgery, and the instructions tell you to cut some of it off. And I'm cutting this with the knife here. Don't try to cut your fingers, try to be careful not to remove too much and yet not to remove too little at the same time. And I actually did manage to do it without damaging the part, which I'm quite proud of myself, because normally I think I would have damaged this part, but yeah, I managed to get it off the sprue and onto the fighting compartment proper. And there is a small gap, but I think you cannot not take it off without having a small gap there. As you can see, it's always hard with Dragon kits because they jump through the instructions. They ask you to take other pieces from other sprues, even though you're still in like one assembly step. And this is always, I don't know, I don't really like it, but I don't think there's anything you can do about it. As you can see, sometimes in those videos that I've been doing here, I sometimes use too much glue, and then you can see it actually shining a bit, the parts. And this happened on this again. What exactly I'm working on. Oh yeah, this is the antenna mount here. Like I said, we have to replace the antenna mount on this. And this is a 3-piece antenna mount that you have to put in place here. First put down the actual mount, then you can put on the directional piece, and then you put on the antenna. And it's rather fragile, so you have to be very careful not to break it. And I decided to have the antenna in an up position and not in the transport position. And normally you would see people have them like angled a bit back, and I did angle it a bit, but I didn't angle it too much, so I think it's actually quite realistic the way I did it. Because the thing is, if you angle it back too much, I think it just wouldn't like stay up and would actually kind of start vibrating a lot because of the motion, forward motion of the tank. So the straighter it would be, the better it would kind of deal with going forward. So that's why I decided to do this. While I'm doing this video, I actually realized that for some weird reason my camera quality has kind of gone down, and I have no clue, so I have to check whether or not this is actually down to the settings of my camera, or if I just changed something, or if I need even more light for the camera to pick up more light and to make better video shots. So maybe adding another softbox or another desk light might improve the actual quality of the camera. So I'm sorry for that. So next up is the scissor binocular, and I decided to build it in the down carry position and not in the up look and see what's happening position, because I want to have the commander actually out of his cupola, or Actually, it's a hatch because the Stuk didn't have a cupola at that point in time, and the binocular would be in the way of the commander. So I decided to have it down. This way I can have the commander out of his hatch. And you will see actually the kit comes with a nice commander figure. It's not like Gen 2 or resin figure quality, but it's still it's decent enough. And you will see me build this in just a second and then put him in there, and you'll see what I mean with that it's a decent figure. I was actually thinking of upgrading its head, but you'll see in just a second. I went with the kit hat because I said I will do this out of the box, more or less. So there's a lot of nice interior detail on this, and I will be painting the interior of this because you can see it once one of the hatches is open, because those hatches are rather large, because they are the two-piece hatches and they actually cover quite the gap within the tank, so you can see inside, even with the commander inside. So I decided to have the loader's hatch closed and just build the commander's hatch open. I do like the way that they engineered these hatches on this kit, because as you can see in the instructions, the hinges actually are separate parts. That way you can either use the ones that have the hinges molded on, like the one I'm using right now, or you can use the ones with the hinges actually separate, and that way you can manipulate the angle in which the hatch is open. So I really like the engineering here. Because those early Stuks actually had the hinges inside the fighting compartment, not outside, bolted inside. So if they would have them on the piece, you could not have the hatches open, or you could at least not manipulate the angle in which the hatches open. As you can see here, I'm now putting the hinges on. Those are separate pieces, and I really like the fact that they did it this way. It actually offers you quite the flexibility. The open hatch here actually comes with the lever that allows you to open and close it, so that's also really nice. Some more detail added, and you can always chip the living hell out of these interior hatches. And as you can see now, you can manipulate the angle at which you want to have the part at. I think I went a bit too overboard with it and have it sit too far back. But when I built the engine deck, and I've already done this and already filmed it, it did not actually interfere with the engine deck, so we're fine there. So now we're going to build the commander figure. As I said, this is a 4-part figure. The torso is actually 1 part, and then you have the 2 arms and the head. And it's a decent figure. You of course could go out and get a resin figure to upgrade, and the resin figure would look better. I have to give you that. But for an in-the-box, just add-on figure, which you normally don't get with Dragon, this is perfectly fine. I think the quality is better than Tamiya's figures. It's a little worse than the Gen 2 figures, and it's better than the early Dragon figures. So it's right in the middle between early Dragon and Gen 2 Dragon. And as I said, you could upgrade the head with a resin head, but as I said, decided just go out of the box. Don't add too much aftermarket and other stuff to the build, because you want to show what you can get in this box. And I'm actually considering not using the resin part that I have for the stowage in the front, so we'll see about that. Because it dry fitted and it looked a bit, I don't know, out of scale or weird because it didn't line up properly, so we'll have to see. If you actually managed to stick around this long, I guess you liked the video. If you do, please like the video, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. It goes a long way of helping me, make the content that I do and maybe reach even more people and show my videos to more people. So thank you. And as we are closing in here on putting the figure together, we're actually closing in on finishing this video. Now we're dry fitting the commander into his hatch, and as you can see, this actually sits in there rather nicely. So now I can actually attach the front hatch here. I always have these basically lie down on the roof of the tank. And yeah, here we are. He's sitting in his place inside the Stug. And the fighting compartment is done, but I decided to just glue the fenders to the fighting compartment because I really wanted to dry fit this with the fighting compartment and the fenders attached to each other, just to see whether or not I could actually make them fit the vehicle, and if I had solved the mystery that I was struggling with earlier as to how I can fix these fenders in place on the vehicle. But as you will see in a second, we still are not perfectly aligned yet because of those ridges that actually protrude from the hull tub. So I'm still not entirely sure if I have to take them off. And I hope that I can clear this up once we tackle the gearbox access hatches in episode 7, or actually no, it's actually episode 6. But so far, I'm still not entirely sure how to do this. But we have now reached at least 2/3 through this build, so we're already past the halfway stage. We're closing in on 2/3 of it being built, and those are the actually protruding parts of the hull that I might be considering taking off. But yes, overall, this is where we are. I really like the progress I've made so far. I'm just a bit annoyed by the instructions being a bit messy every now and then, but overall, like I said, the plastic quality and the parts of the kit are really nice. I like the fact that they give you the commander figure. I really like the fact that they give you more PE than you would normally get in those new Dragon releases. But like I said, the instructions really dampen your enthusiasm because you always have to be very, very careful. You have to double check everything. You have to dry fit stuff. Like every time you do something, you really have to dry fit it first. And like I said, next episode, we will be tackling the engine compartment as well as the access to the gearbox. And for this video, thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked it, and I'm really looking for your feedback on whether or not you actually like this build series or not. The numbers have been going down, so I'm not sure whether or not this is actually something you guys want to see around on my channel. But for now, thank you guys for watching. This has been Hollow Modeling. I see you guys soon, and may the force be with you. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.